Death comes for us all, and the Sonic movies are no exception to this. Despite being films that are made for kids, a lot of characters seem to die in these films. Like, more than you would expect. And so this got me wondering how many characters have died in the Sonic movies, like a total count of every single one. Now the rules for this is that if a character is mentioned to have died but hasn't been shown in the films, I'm gonna count that. Because I mean like the entire universe, the universe that all of these movies take place in, how many characters have died? So I'm gonna go through every Sonic movie project, Sonic movie 1, 2, the Knuckles TV show, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and count and point out every single time that a character has died, tallied it all together, and then we'll get a final count of how many deaths have happened in the Sonic movies. Now starting off with Sonic the Hedgehog 1, of course, you know who's coming up, Longclaw. Longclaw is one of the first deaths in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, arguably the first death. We only get to see her for the tiniest, shortest amount of time before she's killed by Echidna warriors. However, what we also need to take into consideration is that mentioned in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Knuckles says that Echidnas basically were all wiped out by Longclaw.
Those were the last words he spoke to me. I never saw him again.
So every single one of these echidnas that you see right here that attacked Longclaw, we can pretty much guess that Longclaw managed to kill all of them. I'm guessing one of them just managed to get some sort of dirty, sneaky shot on her, and that's how she died. And now also, the tribe that attacked Longclaw was ran by Patricomac, who can also find out is dead and appears as some sort of spirit in the Knuckles TV show. So screw it, even though it's Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Patricomac is also one of our deaths. Now this one I'm kind of debating whether I put in it or not. I think I'll decide by the time I finish editing this video, but whilst watching the film again, I noticed that Eggman says this.
Nice. Rub that in my orphan face.
Now I'm kind of leaning towards not including this, but I just thought to mention it in the video in case someone goes, well, Eggman says he was orphaned in Sonic Movie 1. Shush, I know, I don't think it's going to be put in the video. And then in this scene, when Sonic's running all the way to get to San Francisco and he comes back to Tom's car, what's on top of his head? A fish. Where is the fish? On his head. Where should it be? In the water. What happens when you take a fish out of water? It dies. Yep, so there's another death right there. And that seems to be all the deaths that we have for Sonic the Hedgehog 1, totaling up to this many deaths. Now for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, at the scene in the very beginning where Robotnik is escaping from the Mushroom Planet, these three little scavenger guys come and they have a little fight together. Now the guy that gets completely flung away, he is dead. 1,000,000%. There's no way that he made it out of that alive. I refuse to believe it. The one who gets hit with a massive log, yeah, I think he's probably dead as well. That seems like something that would kill you. And then this one who gets an Agent Stone rock thrown at his face, I don't know if that killed him, but necessarily the fact that these three scavengers don't come back out of this ring portal leads me to believe that they're dead. So screw it, those three scavengers are dead on this list. Now when coming across the Master Emerald, this big story happens in one cool little animated sequence that reveals that one little echidna used it to destroy a bunch of Owl Warriors. And that's where a fight happened. You see this big Master Emerald explosion that kills a couple of the Owl Warriors, but not every single one of them. And going, I mean frame by frame, I counted what appears to be 11 or 12 Owl Warriors that seem to actually just die from this explosion. So screw it, we're going to chuck 12 Owl Warriors on the list as well. Now later on in the film, there's a nice little moment where Sonic and Knuckles kind of bond over the fact that their parental figure have died. And we see what appears to be Knuckles' father telling him to not go out onto the battle, which means that Knuckles is the last of the Echidna Warriors left. And it's literally mentioned by Knuckles, his father dies here.
I never saw him again.
So Knuckles' dad, get it on the list. And you won't believe which character returns to die in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. When they open the little tavern door and take a look at all of the scary residents that are inside of it, what happens here? This guy cuts a fish's head off. Now, it's debatable that this fish was already dead because, you know, it's not in water, it's dead. But when he cut the head off, that definitely signifies it died. So screw it, I don't care. Fish number 2 is on the Sonic the Hedgehog death list. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 presented us with this many deaths. Now yes, I'm counting it, the Knuckles TV show. In the very first episode of the Knuckles TV show, we see two agents that appear to go rogue, Agent Mason and Agent Willoughby, who push this random gun agent into the Mushroom Planet. And considering that this guy doesn't have the intellect of Dr. Robotnik, or he doesn't have a spare ring sat in his pocket, we're led to believe that this guy probably dies in the Mushroom Planet. Then for the next 2 episodes, it's actually pretty clean. We don't see any deaths in Don't Say I Wasn't There For You and the Shabbat Dinner. But in the one, the goated, the only episode, we get to learn a little bit more about a whole Knuckles backstory and how he can learn that the true power is inside of him the entire time. And we learn that in order for Knuckles to gain the Flame of Disaster, he has to defeat Iblis. And since this puppet show seems to reveal that that probably happened before Sonic the Hedgehog 2, we're going to throw Iblis on the list. Yes, we don't see a movie version of Iblis die, and yes, this version of Iblis was using Facebook Marketplace, but we still see them die, and that's how Knuckles gets the Flames of Disaster, which he ends up using in the very last episode of the show. The episode Reno Baby, no deaths whatsoever in that one. But in What Happens in Reno Stays in Reno, we see the deaths of Agent Willoughby and Agent Mason. It's not confirmed that they die, but the rings kind of become close together until they just poof, disappear out of existence. So unless they've gone into the Superman pocket dimension, I don't know where else those guys could have gone. So Agent Willoughby and Agent Mason, are dead. And then, of course, you know the big battle with the... Yeah, it ends up killing the buyer in the very end. Big, huge metal ball falls on him, and Knuckles just decides to aura farm. And so the Knuckles TV show resulted in giving us this many deaths. And now, onto Sonic the Hedgehog 3. At the very start of the film, when we see Shadow waking up and breaking out of his containment, we see him fight a butt-ton of gun agents. Now, this one guy who gets punched up to a glass window and falls and just kind of lands there, I don't really know if I'd count this as a death. And I know what you're wondering, everyone else who gets hit and punched by Shadow, you wouldn't really count that as a death either, he's just knocked them out. However, the very next scene we see with the beautiful music, the gorgeous soundtrack, is Shadow exploding the wall right there. Now, I don't think Shadow just tried to walk around Prison Island kindly until he found an exit and just decided, I'm gonna blow up the wall. I think the place that he blew up the wall is where he was held this entire time. And if all of those bodies are left lying there with a big explosion, they probably died. Then of course we do a big, huge, massive time skip to when Commander Walters is teaching Team Sonic about Shadow's backstory and his past. The big drones come in, boom, kablamo explosion, and this actually kills Commander Walters. This was genuinely one of the most surprising deaths I had ever seen in the Sonic movies, full stop. Commander Walters had been there from Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and he died. They killed him off in this film. That is crazy from these movies. And then after the death of Commander Walters, we don't really see that many deaths in the film, until the one that everyone knows is coming, Maria Robotnik. It's surprising that they actually changed this in the film, so it was just an explosion that killed her and it wasn't a rogue gun agent that just decided to shoot her, which is, it's crazy work. But like always, Maria Robotnik had to die for Shadow to be cool and edgy, so yes, Maria's going on the list too. And then in possibly one of the greatest deaths of cinema history we've ever seen, Gerald just gets bug zapped in the butt and he dies. That's it, Gerald Robotnik is dead. Now this one is quite a tough and confusing one because Dr. Eggman. Dr. Eggman has supposedly died or been like removed from the film in the end of every single one of these movies. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, they put him into a planet where they thought, we won't ever be able to see him again, he's not going to break out. What happened? He broke out. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, he falls from the big, massive death egg. Oh, surely that fall's going to kill him. No, it won't. He's back in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So when the Eclipse Cannon blows up, completely gets destroyed, you think, oh, well, Shadow and Eggman are both completely dead. There's no way they survived that. But the post-credit scene at the very end shows you Shadow made it out of that alive, meaning that it wasn't impossible for Robotnik to let it out too. They always like to throw these endings in just in case Jim Carrey decides, yeah, I'll come back to the Sonic the Hedgehog films, why not? So as of right now, I think I'm going to say that Eggman did die, because I don't think Jim Carrey's going to come back for the fourth one. So yeah, we'll say this is the death of Dr. Robotnik. This is it. It's a nice closeout to his character. It's all nice and sweet. Wonderful. And then we see Metal Sonic and all of his clones in the post-credit scene. And you know what? I'm going to count all of these Metal Sonics that Amy destroys with the Pico Pico hammer, and let me tell you why. You may have noticed that all of the badniks that get destroyed in this film I haven't mentioned or counted as like deaths in this thing, and that's because I don't think the badniks are sentient. You always see that Eggman's doing some crazy thing with his glove to send them all out. They don't have minds of their own. They're being controlled by Eggman. But when it comes to the Metal Sonic clones, Metal Sonic doesn't call all of them out or click some sort of buttons on his arm. No, they all come out on their own, which leads me to believe that they're sentient. They got a mind of their own. So when they get destroyed, it's like a death. I'm counting it. I don't care what you say. And so Sonic the Hedgehog 3 gave us this many deaths overall. Now we take all of these numbers and add them together. This is how many deaths have happened in the Sonic movie universe. Quite crazy since these are kids films, how many deaths occur in them, but you know what? It was an interesting little project that I'm happy I was actually able to find out the number. If you want to debate what counts as a death or not, feel free to comment it down below, but personally, this is how many deaths I say are in the Sonic movies. You might find it different, you might count the badniks, I don't know. This is how many I count. If you want to see more stupid stuff like this with the Sonic movies, subscribe. I'll do more weird counters of how many things happen in the Sonic movies. If this video gets enough likes, I'll do how many steps were taken in the Sonic movies. I don't know, just dumb stuff like that. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe as I'm the #1 Sonic movie death counter there is. Proven fact, by the way, that is a proven one, and I will see you in a bit. Good.